What's up, KW Bergen County? How you guys doing?
Hello.
How is everyone?
Good, good. And you?
Good. Hey, we're already starting out good. Everybody can hear everyone, so that is a good sign. Notice how I don't let technology win very often. I know we had some issues the first round, but I usually can tackle this thing. I'm not going to let it mess us up. So always good to hear from you guys. Hey, before we kick in, we got a lot of stuff today on the money stuff, but I also don't want to take away from anything that may be just burning in your mind, or as you're piecing everything together and you have more questions and clarity. I guarantee you somebody else is thinking the same things, and not just somebody else, several people are. So is there anything that you guys have more questions about, or anything that we've talked about in this round of Ignite that is just a burning question, clarity, anything?
Um, I have a question. With the holidays coming up, do you recommend sending gifts or like calendar magnets or some kind of little treat in the mail for people?
So yeah, I mean, holidays are the perfect time where everybody feels warm and fuzzy, and anything that you can make stand out above them is always good. I'll tell you, my theory was always Arbor Day, Halloween, the holidays that nobody did anything on. However, November and December is when people are with family. I mean, they're with friends, they're going to parties, even more so this year than last year because of COVID. So to get top of mind, it will take more than just the item. Like, I don't know that I would suggest that you just start right now, ground zero, throw something out there to a whole bunch of people, spend money on it if it costs money, and then not have a plan to follow up with it. In fact, it'd be better if, Thanksgiving, we've got what, 3 weeks between now and Thanksgiving, that you have and 8 touches in 8 weeks. We got 3 weeks. So you'd get about 3 or 4 touches in before that gift showed up to really make it powerful. That's what I would suggest. So, anytime somebody wants to do anything, when they ask that question, I say, what's the plan? Like, if you could make whatever you want to do, a 7-touch plan around it. So the item is going to happen, whether it's a home buyer seminar, whether it's dropping off a gift around Halloween, a pie day, something at Christmas, whatever it might be. What is your 7-touch thing around it? You want a few touches before and you want a few touches after. Touches meaning mixed mediums, like one email, maybe one letter, absolutely one phone call, absolutely one personal direct message on social media. So when I say that stuff, it's like, all right, so give me an idea of what you might want to do around either Thanksgiving or Christmas, what you would do. What were you thinking about? Like you said, a calendar?
Yeah, those magnets that show
Yeah,
the
the
next.
magnetic calendar.
Hmm?
Yeah. So around the magnetic calendar, what would a phone call be before that or after that, right? What would a social media touch before that or after that be, before that or after that? I mean, what just kind of, is anything pop in your head or mind? It's like, because I know it's like, well, I've never really thought about that. It was just a calendar, right?
Well, a post could be about, the new year ahead, wishing everyone happy holidays and best wishes. But a phone call about a calendar is a little tricky. I'd have to think a little longer about that one.
Well, so year ahead, okay, we're just coming out of COVID, right? And if you haven't picked up the phone and talked to them lately, what a perfect time. Like, you're about to send something out that says year ahead. So if you could get a phone call and just say, hey, I'm just checking in on you. We've made it through the tail end of this second year of COVID. Are you guys doing okay? It's like, we got a whole new year coming up in 2022. Anything exciting that you're planning on doing or doing differently that you didn't get done this year? Anything you didn't get to do? Now, look, that I just jumped clear over to D for dreams when I said, like, in FORD, Ford, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. You don't get to use the D a whole lot. Dreams just sounds weird, right? And Michael Mayer is a friend of mine that wrote 7 Levels of Communication. That came up on a couple of calls. Somebody crisscrossed with that book, and he calls it frog. family, recreation, occupation, goals. And really goals and dreams, what they are is it's a way for you to be there available as a need for something. Like, do they need their deck done, and connecting them with people. So I got to figure out what C is. To be a connector is really what D and G are. So I don't know what frock. I'll have to play with the numbers and see if there's anything to get in there, and play with. In fact, I'm going to do that. Thanks. That's really fun. Connector is really what you want to be at the end. Just because it's weird to ask people about their dreams. So, is there anything you didn't get to accomplish over the last 2 years with COVID that you want to get done, or that you're planning on doing in 2022? So again, if you haven't talked to them and you're just throwing this calendar out of the blue, you're just wasting your money. I mean, it's not going to make any sales happen unless it's just your community give back and you're writing that off as a charity item, which, you can still give back from the heart. Everything in real estate. I mean, if I do a client appreciation party, it is truly the give back to the clients that did business from us. However, I cannot not create 6 more steps around it and get some referral business out of it. I mean, that's just silly to waste that opportunity, because we really know our level of service and our systems are going to deliver great service for their friends and family. So why would I pass up that opportunity? Even though genuinely, if we don't get a referral, if we did everything right to get a referral and didn't get a referral, I don't look at it as a failure. Does that make sense? So yeah, I mean, if you're gonna, because that's gonna cost money to do those calendars. Now I'm also leverage everything. So here's another little trick. This is a bonus trick if you're tuning in, is that those calendars, when you buy those magnetic back calendars that have the pull off pages, is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yes. Yep.
Punch the center out, right? Because if you're mailing them, it drops it down to regular postage. So everybody pops the centers out. What do you do with the centers? We use that for another mailing. For our business card, for halfway through the year, we would put our business card on it so they could throw that up on something else. So we doubled our whammy with that extra little calendar piece. Or we would take those to open houses, or give them out to people like that, sticking business cards on it. Sometimes we would print our own like chief schedules or royal schedules, because in my system, so when you go into the database and you got the contact record sitting there, there's an action plan or a smart plan running, right? And that smart plan has a series of events. And one of those items throughout the year is send an item of value, which is just what you said. It literally was whatever was laying around the office. If I had some leftover pens, I actually did just buy a box of pens because I'm in a network group, and they were so stinking cheap. Go ahead. Oh, okay. I thought somebody was jumping in. So I have some extra pens laying around. So that happens to be, if the to-do pops up and it says send an item of value, well, that's what I send them, is just whatever's laying around. What I quit doing after many years was like being on purpose. Once a year, I'd spend $1,000 on some giveaway thing and then blast mail them out. I don't really do a lot of bulk blast mailing, because I've got everybody on independent flowing plans with all the touches that are happening, and it's not holiday related, it's not date related, because I would spend 2 days getting all the calendars boxed up, finding the envelopes, printing the labels, cleaning up addresses, and I wasn't doing anything to get any business. It was 2 or 3 days just gone. So you're probably already thinking, oh yeah, that's exactly what happens. So yes, they're good to do, and it's a good kickoff as long as you started your master list. And I always come back to this, and we're talking financials today, so I am going to talk about it again. But it's getting that master list, so you have a master list with a phone number and an address, so you can pull 5 people off every single day. See, until you're doing that every single day, just like automatic, and it's happening every single day, not like when you get busy and you get sidetracked and 2 weeks later you realize, oh yeah, I need to get back on the 5 a day. That's old school. I need to get in my database and clean it up. I need to really do better at keeping in touch with people. It has to happen every single day. And when you start doing that and you're starting smart plans on everybody, and you get from A to Z, you'll find real quick that your phone's ringing with business and you don't have to do a lot of this bulk stuff. You can do it if it's convenient and works out, but always build a plan around it. I hope that helps a little bit.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Make 7 touches around anything and everything you do always. And mix the mediums up. It's not all email. It's not all phone calls. It's not in, I mean, you don't need to do a personal note to send a calendar, but you do need to do a personal note if you haven't talked to them in the last month or two and you're disconnected. That's the initial forward call, write the note. Then there's like a resume that might go in the mail that just says, it could just be the about me page off of your KW site if you filled in all your profiles. Remember when I said that at the beginning of the class? The very, very first session, fill out all your profiles on every site that you can access. Pictures, descriptions, fill in everything, all your Facebook page links. All that's doing is getting you this free Google juice that's picking up all the sites that you're on. Because everybody should have a, I don't know if you guys have it or not in your area, but I think everybody has a realtor.com free profile. It should be maxed out. There's leads coming in from realtor.com. Zillow, if you have a profile there, your KW site. In fact, go into, when you log into KW, mykw.com, /mykw or whatever that is. I always forget which one it is. But when you go in there, there's KWLS. And you can still put listings in there that are still feeding extra sites. You've got a profile in there, your white pages. That will help agents find you in the app and send you referrals if you fill everything in. Because if a lot of times what they're doing is they're going to look, and if there's no picture or not missing information, they're just skipping through until they find somebody that's filled everything in. So anyway, that third touch could be just a 1-page printout of your about me page off of KW. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. And then the next one could be a link back to your website, and then the calendar hits. So I've made all these touches so that that calendar does end up on the refrigerator. But now they're like, whoa, I've talked to you. I've gotten a handwritten note. I feel good. I know you're in real estate. I have the link to your website and just clicked on it. And maybe I typed in an address to see what a neighbor's house was. And then again, what follows beyond that is just normal 8x8 33 touch drip stuff. So have fun with it. Make that your item of value. And you want something that they'll stick around for a while. So that one will be around for the year. Now, see, now I would do something fun once a month around that. Now, this would have to be a timed event, though, because everybody's got to, if I add somebody to my database in July, I'm going to have to start the smart plan on January 1st and delete all the old stuff to start in July. But if I was going to do the calendar, I might do something revolving around an annual plan that would go around what are the goofy holiday days or something like that, right? And just something, just listing out the goofy holiday days. Or if it's on the first of the month, you know, you're calling saying, hey, make sure you tear that page off your little calendar on your refrigerator, you know. Oh, did we keep that? Can you send me another one of those?
I throw that away.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Cool. Good question. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just said thank you.
Uh-huh. Anybody else have anything burning they want to ask before we get into the money side? This is a power pack day, by the way. Got a lot of stuff. So it's good. Be ready to write. I'm going to be throwing a lot of stuff at you. But it's also it's the yeah, go ahead. You ready? I didn't know if George was jumping in there for a second. All right. Let's get this going here. Now, I have to tell you, I've probably done the money stuff wrong so many different ways that that's the reason why I'm teaching this today. So I'm going to share some stuff with you today that I don't want to see you guys get into and go through and all that other stuff. But anyway, so today's is on financial basics. And today we're talking about managing money. So the perspective here that I want you guys to get, and we're going to kind of go over this. If you have your workbook, this is a page that's going to be coming up in a minute. So make sure you download the workbook and we'll go through this a little bit. I know it's math and I do not like math. I will tell you, I'm not a genius on math. but it is something that you definitely need to write out and work out when you're doing business planning, business goals, things like that. The thing I want you to keep in mind is that National Board of Realtors says that 60 to 80% of all real estate agents don't make it longer than 3 to 5 years. They get out of real estate. That's our constant turnover. So about 20% survive and make it for longer than 5 years. So if you're less than 5 years right now, I'm glad you're paying attention and you're actually in this class and you're taking notes, because most of the reason that the agents don't make it is, well, first of all, they don't lead generate, but the second thing is they don't manage the money. And I'll tell you what I know from personal experience from opening a market center, being a team leader, launching a market center, that one of the numbers that we figured out is that just to get your real estate license, so when you get started, sounds kind of easy when it's $400 or $500 and it's a couple weeks in school and they're going to give you the answers to the test and help you get licensed. Now, you may have thought you were going to learn how to sell real estate in real estate school and then found out you really don't. But after you committed and said, I want to be a real estate agent, then you get there and you're like, oh man, they just taught me how to pass the test. I still don't feel like I know how to do anything yet. Then you get hit up with the second wave of stuff. And it's another $300, $400, $500 to join your board. You got to do another $300 to join the National Association of Realtors. You have to join your MLS. You have to get a key. If you get a listing, you got to have a sign. So a new realtor can be $2,500 in the hole when they first started out thinking it was $400 and 2 weeks of school. And then I'd be able to make $10,000 every time I sold a house, and thought maybe I'd be selling a house within the first month or two. So, you start out in the hole. And then with most companies, if there's no cost to be in business, no cost at all, those are what we call 50-50 split companies. And so even if you join a team and it's a 50-50 split, you don't have any cost coming out, but getting out of the hole, you have to sell twice as much to get out of the hole because somebody's taken half of everything. So, and it's not really taking. I talk about this. I'm going to reference the E-Myth Real Estate Agent book a little bit today, because there's a great chapter 3 and 4. I talk about money, and it's a great compliment. If you have the book sitting on your shelf somewhere, great. If not, I'm going to give you the basics of it today, but you can go read chapter 3 and 4 on money. I think it's 3. I'm pretty sure it's 3 and 4. It's money. And I talk about how to set up your accounts and start tracking your money in a very simple format. But anyway, what I'm getting at is that by the time you get your commission check gets cut in half, and then you had some expenses that you had to pay. I mean, it's hard to get out of that hole. And if you're only selling one house in your next 3 months, and then you sell 1 or 2 in the next 2 or 3 months, when you're 6 months in with 3 or 4 sales, and that is the story of probably half of the National Association of Realtors businesses. So that's why they fail. And it's because they don't keep track of their money. Michael Gerber wrote E-Myth Revisited, Why Small Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About It. That's just for small businesses in general. It's the same issue. Like most small mom and pop shops last about 5 years. And there was another book, it was called Good to Great, that Gary told me to read once. Here's like, if you're even talking to Gary Keller on the phone and he says, red light, green light, and I want you to get the book Good to Great. And it's like, okay, or yeah, that was the one, Good to Great. It's like, okay, I'm going to do what he said. And in there, they track good companies to great companies, and good companies can be around for 10, 15 years. But the great companies are still sustaining growth after 20, 25 years. So anyway, of course, you read a book anytime Gary Keller tells you to read it. So that's why most people fail out. And when Gerber wrote E-Myth Revisited, or E-Myth, in the book is the one you can get today is E-Myth Revisited. He just takes it through a sample of a lady that owns a pie shop and just what she's struggling with as a small business owner. And it is 100% real estate. Now, I made it a little easier for you because I ended up writing E-Myth Real Estate Agent with him, and I put the real estate version of that book in that book. So Gerber talks one chapter about E-Myth, and then I talk about how I applied that to my real estate business, because I basically applied the E-Myth Revisited book into my business 100%. So we just go through all that stuff. So their money chapter is a good one, and we're going to talk about it today. So here on this, the habits for financially sound business, I'll tell you this first one, set a profit goal that funds your life. This is your living expenses plus any business expenses, plus any money that you want to put back into your business and grow it, plus any vacations you might want to take. I mean, so that's like the big rock that needs to go in at the front of it, right? Number two is to estimate and save for taxes. So there's the first problem, is that a lot of times we have all of our money coming in a commission check, and it's a big chunk, and it goes into our checking account, and then we catch up by paying a bunch of stuff off and or buying our plane tickets for our vacation and doing all that stuff. That's one thing. But if the money comes directly in and it goes into your checking account, and then you can play catch up because you're in the hole, what doesn't get put aside is taxes. Guys, I had probably $100,000 in taxes, back taxes due back before like 2011, 2010, something like that. And it was when the market crashed in 2005. I mean, we still kept going. We still sold 100 homes that year. However, for some reason, we were robbing Peter to pay Paul and putting some stuff on credit cards. And next thing I know, 2011, we hadn't paid taxes for a couple years. And that was a little shift in the market because we lost our inventory, was getting completely wiped out, and people were upside down and they couldn't sell. And so they had to stay in their house for an extra year or two. So even though we made the same amount of money, we had not put our taxes away because we needed the lesser sales. Those were all prices where the prices were dropping. People were selling their house for a negative amount. And we had to fight to even sell 100 properties. Actually, we might have sold 70, I think, that year in 2010 or 11. So it did actually drop down. I do remember one year it hit 70. That was scary because I was just used to being at 100 all the time. So the taxes, write this down. Set up a payroll company. Set up a payroll company. And I made the mistake first of not wanting to spend that kind of money, because there's a monthly fee that goes to an accountant to manage all this for you. And it can be $150, it can be $250 a month when you didn't have any sales. The problem is if you don't invest in that and have somebody tracking your commission dollars and paying yourself a salary, then the taxes aren't being taken out. They're totally on you. Now, and I'll still tell you some things that we did, how you can play the game a couple different ways. But when I finally bit the bullet and just, I got to pay the $200 for payroll. And when I did that, we got our taxes all caught up. We got that 100,000 put on a payment plan, and then we had our taxes paid every year. In fact, the way that we did the snowball paying things off, when all that came to be, and we started the payroll and then we started paying things off, I mean, I snowballed that, and we were completely had all of our credit cards paid off. Just down to our house and cars by about 2012. So it was less than a year. So anyway, so you definitely got to put away for your taxes, and or just set up a payroll account. Figure out what your minimum is to make your house payment, groceries, car payments, gas, and that's your salary, your base salary. Anything that's left over above that could be profit to your business or help you catch up on some other things or start snowballing and paying some credit cards off. But that you would take out of your business account. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. So set up a payroll account. Use proven models and systems. There is a website, kellerinc.com, KELLER Inc.com. Trying to find my chat box here so I can type it in for you. kellerinc.com. They have so many forms and everything for managing your money that you could probably just take 15, 20 minutes right after this class. Go to kellerinc.com and just click through the links and see what's all in there. There is so much good stuff in there. Proven models that will help you with your business and tracking money and a whole lot of other things. Be fiscally savvy by reviewing your financials every month. So I'm going to give you a simple way to do that. Well, and actually, I'll just tell you about it now. In chapter 3 and 4 in E-Myth Real Estate Agent, one of the things that I did that really helped, because if you're in MAPS coaching, you get this big spreadsheet of like 30, 40 different things to track. And we're going to actually talk about the expense model, where all this money goes, and keep track of this. Any business owner has a profit and loss statement that shows their expenses every single month. They're reviewing them against those numbers to see if you're spending too much in this or that all over the place. And I also talk a lot about getting a return on investment. If you spend $1, get 5 back, that kind of thing. So being fiscally savvy and reviewing your financials, one of the easiest ways I said to do that. And if you went through the first round, hopefully you've done this already. You might have, right now, you might have a checking account that you live out of, and you might be putting your commission dollars in there. If you're one step above that, you might actually have a business checking account that you run all your real estate stuff through, and you have your personal account that you run all your personal stuff through. Now, typically what happens is you're probably putting all your commissions in your business account, you're paying expenses, and then you put some money into your personal account, and that's what you live off of. And those pretty much zero out about every month, especially in the beginning, right? So what I'm saying is, you got your business checking account, ideally is what you want, that all your real estate business stuff runs through. And you got your personal account that you do your rent or your house payment or car payments, unless your car is totally being written off by your business. It could be over here. Just depends on how you're doing that. But you have your personal account and your real estate account. When they talk about commingling funds, that's if you just had one account, throw it all in, and you pay for everything. It's going to be hard to get control of your business and figure out what your profit is if you're not doing that, let alone creating a profit and loss statement, actually really tracking your numbers. So you got those 2 accounts, business, personal. Now add 2 accounts to each of those accounts. Just go whatever's free. I just take a free checking account. I don't care if it's interest bearing, sometimes it's a money market account, whatever's free that I can put. This is my capital business account, and it's my capital personal account, if you want to call it that. Or what you're going to do is put all your, I'll tell you how I do it. You got your business, your checking accounts, and you got your capital accounts. Set it up to where every commission dollar coming in goes into your business capital account. Every commission dollar just gets automatically deposited in there. Then what you do is you look at, on the 1st and the 15th, or usually when you have like your pile of bills sitting here that need to be paid on the 1st and the 15th, right? So you just add up all your bills, your business bills, right? To know what your business expenses are for this month on the 1st. You're also going to do it on the 15th to see what you owe for. So if you committed to a bus bench somewhere, or some marketing thing that you're doing, or you're paying realtor.com $50 a month for leads or whatever, those are your expenses that you want to look at on the 1st and the 15th. You add up all your expenses, including, like, if you're in your office, you probably have the tech fee and something like that, whatever postage you're buying because you're doing your 5 a day. Those are all expenses. Add up on the 1st what you have, and add up your personal bills that you have on the 1st that you need to pay. You can add those 2 together, and that's the amount that you take out of your capital account into your business checking account. Don't take more, don't take less, just take what you need to pay your bills, and that's one withdrawal out of that account, and you put it in your business checking account. Then whatever your personal bills were, you take that amount out of your business checking account and pay it to your personal capital account. And then my personal capital account is where I then take it out of there and put it in my business. And I actually physically transfer the money through these processes. So then I'll pay all my bills on the 1st. And if I don't have anything left in my personal capital account, that's fine. Just means I'm not investing or doing anything extra that month. And once I pay my business expenses, if there's anything left in the business capital account, that is my profit for the month. So, and then I'll do that again on the 15th. I'll repeat that process. It comes from the business capital to the business checking, then from business checking to my personal capital into my personal checking. So eventually what will happen when you're doing this and you're only pulling out what you need that's sitting in front of you, anything else you need money for is out of budget, is the easy way to say it, and it's an unexpected expense. car breaks down, costs $1,000 to get it fixed, right? So that I have to go back to my capital account and see if there's any money left. That's the only other place to get it from other than a credit card. And if there's $2,000 sitting there, I can transfer an additional $1,000 for that expense as a bonus being paid to my personal side. And then I can cover my unexpected car expense. So what you do is let your business profit go, and you can still pay yourself out of all that. When you first start this process, it's going to be zero. I mean, you're zeroing it out. You're trying to get out of the hole. So sometimes on the 1st and the 15th, you're taking everything out, and then you're still putting some stuff on credit cards. If hopefully you don't have to do that for very long. So once you get that money out of your just spending account, because what's happening is you're just spending through it, and then you have no money to invest in your business. So the goal is to get that to profitability. Second thing this does is in the long run, I see that eliminating embezzlement at some point. And believe me, I've been around long enough and I've seen it happen to just people like us, you and me, who built a real estate team and somebody got in there and embezzled $70,000. This will happen someday if you act like it's not going to. I have personal friends that have lost $200,000, $300,000. Like, I don't even make that. Like, that's not something extra sitting around. But when that money's not trackable and you're the only one that has access to the capital account, you can have somebody on your team managing your business checking account. But if you see the bills every month and you're only putting in there what we need to pay the bills, then you've got bills to go along with it. They still could embezzle and have fake bills in there. And that has happened as well. But if you're just throwing it all in your account and you're just used to it being zero all the time, somebody's going to take advantage of you, and or you can't get out of the hole. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions on that? Did I describe that pretty easily? All right, cool. Because that's a pretty, I mean, that was a game changer, life changer for me. And it got to the point to where we were able to pay up out of that capital account. We started paying off credit cards and getting that to zero. And honestly, I don't even do stuff unless I do it with cash now. So I mean, it's crazy. Like, there's stuff that I have now that I paid cash for. Just did it last night on a little golf cart for our lake house, right? But it's like I don't put anything on credit cards anymore. I have one just in case I need it, but I really leave it at zero for the most part. All right, because actually debit cards pretty much work like credit cards nowadays. So if you guys want to get there, just that's the easiest thing you can do. And whatever's free, you know, your bank might get into details about, oh, you need to do a business account and that costs money every month. Just go in there and say, I just need an extra checking account that's as free as possible for me, just to kind of hide some money out of my site so I can access it. And it could be a money market or something like that. So the money markets, what's good about those is that you can only like withdraw 3 times a month or 6 times a month. So that forces me into not just taking money out of there like another checking account. I have to add up my money on the 1st and the 15th, and I just let those pile up. And when the first hits, I add them all up, and that was the amount I transferred over. Anyway, I think I made my point there. Money is good for the good you can do. Our very own Gary Keller. All right. So on this thing, they were talking about 2 different scenarios where Jessica, the agent, closes on a house and gets a $9,000 commission check. And so in this scenario, if you're following it in your book, they talk about, you know, so she sells, she gets $9,000. They're paid to the order of Jessica after her company split dollars and things with $5,760. So she didn't get $9,000. However, for some reason in real estate, we think we've got $9,000 to spend. Right there, I mean, easily $3,240 disappears off the top. And that's just in the cost of doing business, which I'll talk a little bit about that. So she puts it in her personal bank account and she has $5,670 to spend, and it just kind of gets spent. Whatever's in our account, we live off of. Making sure my notes here where I'm going to tell you some things and other things. On the other side, if you look at where she gets the $9,000, it comes $5,760 to her. She puts in her business bank account $1,728 and her personal account $4,000, and then sets aside her taxes She has $2,400 to spend. That right there is going to keep her out of trouble, because look at the difference, 2,400 versus 5,760. Man, that extra $2,300 is going to disappear pretty quick if you don't set it aside. And it is, I mean, the real estate industry is one of the biggest downfalls, are not putting taxes away. In fact, we're going to suggest you put the 30 or 40% away, keep it out of sight, out of mind. In fact, I tried to do this with my kids. Every time we gave them money at Christmas and Easter and all that stuff, I always wanted to, if I gave them $10, I wanted them to put 4 in their savings account, just so they would start from the very beginning with 40%. That didn't last very long. Dollar trying to get them to put 40 cents in the piggy bank didn't work. So anyway, just, I should have gave it to them in change. Maybe I could have done it better. But this is what we're talking about here on that last scenario that I was telling you. Is if you just put it in your account, then you're going to spend it. So that 9 commission really turns into $24.19 in your pocket that you can spend if you're going to set stuff back for your business following these models. And actually, here's the real main model, is it's 30% cost of sale, 30% expenses, which leaves you 40% at the end of the day. And that's about what this scenario is showing you. And then if you really get into the details, this tells you where the first 30% comes from and where the second 30% comes from. The book also shares what percentage of your money should be spent on these items. So it's just it's a model to follow. And I'll tell you what about this model right here. That was $28 million real estate agents. And Gary took all, they called it all something different, you know, putting in all these different percentages all over. And Gary and Jay found the commonalities between all of those and figured out what the real percentages were based on equalizing what everybody was calling. Because some people would call stuff gifts, other people would call it marketing. That can really mess up your model if you're just asking somebody's opinion on how much they spend on marketing and how much they spend on gifts. They might be calling it gifts, but it's really marketing. So anyway, he found the commonality of all of that stuff. Do I have any questions so far? I know when we're getting into numbers and money, I like to pause out for a second and make sure we're not losing anyone or getting too muddled down. Everybody's all good? Okay. So let's see here, financially sound. Oh, I was just going to say on this screen here, 2011, we were about 100,000 behind in taxes. 2012, we snowballed and paid off all of our debt and started paying cash for everything after 2014. Everything was debit cards. Okay, the MREA economic model. So this is where a $10,000 commission check comes in. By the time you take your cost of sales and operating expenses out, that 10,000 turns into $4,000. Here's what I know personally is whatever's in my checking account for personal stuff, I spend. Halloween just got over and I went a little crazy. I don't know if you guys are watching my Facebook at all, or it's hard. I'm maxed out on my personal profile, but I need to throw everything on my coaching one. If you find me on the coaching side or coaching page, I go crazy on Halloween. We did a full-blown outdoor haunted house. I bought 3 $200 to $250 animatronic, you know, Halloween things. So that's almost $1,000. If that money's sitting in my personal account, I'm spending it. So you got to be careful. Like I knew I had that extra in there because it's been a great year and we've had money to get our deck fixed, paint our house, but it's all moving that money through the chain and seeing what profit there is at the end of the month. Guys, it's your own business. If there's $5,000 left over after you paid all the core stuff, you can just bonus yourself the $5,000 and go spend it. It's your profit for the month, but it's at the end of the month. The other thing is that you want to get about, well, it used to be you want to get about 3 months of your, whatever your expenses are, the 1st through the 15th. Once you start doing this and you start tracking how much money you move on those 2 days, you want to get that amount sitting in your capital account and have 3 months. Well, it used to be 3 months. I think today, I mean, Gary will tell you, you better have 1 year I'm not even anywhere close to 1 year. I mean, I've just been getting to 3 months to 4 months in the during the COVID. And really, I'm not comfortable until I get 6 months in there. But again, it's like I've always wanted to be three. And in a regular market in the past, before COVID, there was maybe two in there. I never could quite get it to three because things would come up. We'd go on vacation. Two's in there, we're safe. And I never got to the comfort zone of three. Now I'm solidly at three, but crap, now I need to be at six. So you just got to be careful and watch that and get that built up to where you have a few months of reserves for those months. That way, if the market does shift, you're not going to be worried about pulling yourself back out of a hole. So I do start spending a little more freely and bonusing myself extra money when I've got 3 months in there and it's Halloween and I want to buy some Halloween toys. I'll look and go, I got 3 months in there. I can take a little extra out, or I might have 4 months, so I can take a little extra out. I'm still not below three is what I meant to say. So it's a way more fun way to live life. And the money issue is not an issue. Now, I will tell you, it's not that I don't think about it, because I think about it every day and I worry every day a little bit. I mean, not like worry bad in a bad way, but I am disappointed that I'm not at 6 months. So I still have a little bit of drive to get that to that 6 month mark. I'm making sure there's no questions in there. So the money left over in your capital account is technically your profit. So here's another thing I'm going to challenge you to do when you're looking at your business. You got the flow of money where it comes in, you pay your expenses, and whatever's left over is your profit. So if you want to get out of zeroing those accounts out all the time, figure out how much profit you want, which what is 3 months is your starting goal. I want 3 months in my profit account, and then work that backwards, or 6 months worth of profit, work that backwards to figure out how many homes you have to sell by the time you take out 40 or 60%, and it leaves you 40% profit. You can start figuring out really, truly how many houses you need to sell. Doesn't matter whether you agree with the number or anything at all. What it matters is if that number looks unattainable to you, then you have to go back in and cut some expenses out, or you have to get rid of some stuff. I mean, otherwise you can't, it doesn't work. The only way it's going to work is selling more houses. And this is telling you exactly how many houses you have to sell every month. So if your number comes up to be 5, then you need to go on 6 to 8 listing appointments a month, no questions asked, every single month. And you just better start figuring out how to get there and doing everything it takes to get there. And that's your main focus every single day. 3 to 4 to 5 hours a day, you're finding that appointment every single day or every single week so that you can get that profit out of it. There is no other way to get out of it. Whenever I'm coaching people and they say they're out of budget and yeah, we're off like 20 grand, I'll go back to the beginning of the year. I'll say, well, there was a credit card that you were paying off for 20 grand. Looks like that's not going to get paid off this year. No, I don't want that credit card anymore. If you're 20 grand short and you're not going to make it up somewhere and do something extra to pick up the extra 20 grand, one of these things has to come off your calendar. Either you're not going on vacation or you're not paying off the credit card. And I already know it's easier to not pay off a credit card and just, I'll do it next year. I'll do it next year. And it's accumulating interest all the time it's sitting there. So you got to be real with yourself and give that list to somebody that you is accountable, that will hold you accountable, like your team leader or your productivity coach or whoever. So, and share that with them and go, I just ran my numbers from Ignite and I really need to close 3 a month every single month. I remember back in the day, I used to say, gosh, if I could just sell 2 houses a month, I could actually pay my bills every month. And if you feel like that, I was there. It's like, man, just 2 a month. Now we close 8 to 10 a month. And I'm like, what happened to 2 a month? What the heck did I do? Right? Bigger house, bigger, nicer cars, car payments, college for kids. It'll catch up to you, right? So I know everybody in here looks way younger than me, and I'm way older than you think I am. But it is fun when the kids get through school and college that you built this lifestyle up and you do this stuff that we're talking about today and you get 3 months ahead. I can see why retired people can actually retire someday, because I was honestly worried about it as a realtor. I was like, I don't know. I think you have to sell real estate till you die, because most people aren't putting any money away and getting 2 months, 3 months ahead. I mean, and having that money there, and then having college expenses disappear and having things disappear has allowed me to put that money in other places, like a condo that I can Airbnb and invest in some real estate. So now there are things that are pretty lined up that I feel like I've done pretty good. You know, I'm not worried about it anymore, but I still have to get up every day and work and make money and bring it in, because I'm not retired yet. I definitely could not retire and just cut off my income. All right, so last thing I want to tell you about this is that one of my experiments, and I may have said this before, my real estate business is like my laboratory. Honestly, even though I'm a successful real estate agent and sell a lot of houses every year, it really is where I bring my coaching stuff that I hear of, and anything that I ever share and coach to, like the conversations we have here, I took back into my real estate business and put it into play, figured out how to really make it work. And there's a lot of things I don't do. So I don't buy leads from Zillow, but you can go to a class. I don't buy banner ads in Facebook. I don't do keywords in Google searches. But yet there's courses all out there that are telling you how you can just make tons of money with Google words, AdWords, Facebook banner ads. Mine's right out of the database. It costs me no money to manage my relationships. It costs me some stamps and stuff, but I never got those things to get the return that I was spending up front to maybe get my money back, or maybe double my money and not lose money, but I could not get it to a 4 to 5, 6 times return. And the database will do that all day long. A cost of a stamp and some phone calls and follow-up is the biggest ROI of anything. So anyway, I tested this and I expanded into a town 3 hours from Kansas City. So I got the Korn team running here, selling 100 homes a year. We got a team, all this stuff. And I'm like coaching people on systems. And I'm like, E-Myth is like, you want to create 7 of your businesses to create a real true business. So the Korn team's running, operating, and selling 100 homes a year. I want to do that with 7 people. And then once you do it 7 times, then it's really duplicatable, like a McDonald's or a Starbucks or whatever. That's kind of the core thing that Michael Gerber figured out. If you can get 7 of them to do the same thing, then you can start growing a company. So I expanded to Lincoln, Nebraska, out of nowhere. My brother was there. And I'm like, hey, dude, if you want to get into real estate, you just follow my plan, which all he did was feed the database 5 people a day, every day. Didn't get to do any real estate for the first 6 months. And he wasn't going to anyway. He could have got in and he was in the cubicle, listening to the people there doing open houses and doing all this stuff. He still did some of that, but all I wanted him to do was go get his relationships into the database, put them on a follow-up plan. Here's your people to call today. Here's your people to write notes to. And it took us, so we started basically zero money, and we built a real estate business. So how we did that, and the suggestion that I'm going to give you is, if you ever want to start a team, or you think someday in the future you might have a team, and you're thinking about what that split structure is, and let's just say you're doing what most people do. Well, if you join a team, you usually pay 50% split to the team. Then what I did with Lincoln, Nebraska is I said, now, Jason, you're the boots on the ground in Lincoln. I don't have a license in Nebraska, but you get to keep 50% of every commission check, and that's what you've got to live off of. And even though it was his business that he was starting and we were putting my models in place, he got the $9,000 commission check, but he really only got $4,500 to work with. And then he had to pay his taxes out of that and everything else. Because if you started a team and you're going to pay a 50% split, you better be able to live off the 50% split. You better be able to live off of whatever the split is that you want your team members to be on. And you better be able to run your business with the split that you're keeping for the team. So what we did was, every commission check, as soon as he got it, 50% went into the Korn team capital account. He didn't even get to see it. And then the Korn team, actually the whole thing went in, and then we paid him half of it. That money sat there until we raised enough money to buy our signs. So listen, I said I started with zero money. All he did was feed every day, call people every day, tell them he had a real estate license. And within the first 6 months, he had a few closings. So we had saved up enough money in that 50% split to then go buy 10 signs that had the Korn Team logo on it. So we bought signs, we cleaned out the account. He kept going. He got a few more listings and sales that next month using the signs. They're starting to pop up. The next 6 months, so in the first year, I think he sold about 10, 12 homes total. But we built up enough money that then we got an ad in the real estate book because we had a way to capture their information from the print ad or the print magazine with the houses in it. And we paid for a page to market because we had built up the money. So when Gary says, let the business pay for itself or red light, green light, we had red light on spending any money on anything. We didn't buy any leads. He didn't buy any logoed pens. And I'm going to tell you, for most people, you don't have a brand yet. So you don't need a sign with your logo on it yet, not for your very first listing or your second listing. Just use the free sign that somebody will loan you from the office, right? Or they'll charge you minimal for it, and just buy one or just buy the signs as you need them, stick them in the yard, and then work on your marketing and work on getting 3 buyers off that listing before it sells. Get those systems in place. Feed your 5 in a day from your master list and start getting the phone to ring. And then as you get going, that's when your brand's going to pay off. And that's when you need your signs in the yard to go along with the marketing and the drip. So many people will come into this business and say, well, I inherited some money, or I've got this nest egg, and they start tapping into their nest egg and they're not replacing it because they're spending it to make money instead of doing the activities that need to do to bring money in and then get that money back or replace it. So you don't need to spend a ton of money. If you guys ever have any questions about should I do this or should I do that, like the calendars, I would do the calendars only if I had a plan around it to make money off of it and get my money back from it, not just spend it to spend it. Does that make sense? Because you can just pick up the phone and call people instead and say, hey, today's December 1st. Just want to let you know, in a new month, you could be their personal calendar for free, but it takes time. So anyway, we built that business out of zero money. We fed the money back into the business on the split that we would have paid a team member. And I didn't keep anything on this, right? This was my experiment. And we built that to, he didn't end up listening to his big brother, feeding the database 5 every day. He was an introvert. He didn't like talking to people. So he did a lot of texting and email after the first year. And he did 20, 25 sales a year. He did make a great living. He did it for 10 years. He bought his first house, paid off all of his credit cards. So it was all worth it. And then he went back into managing the bowling center that his in-laws owned, because him and my sister-in-law are going to take that business over. And he's from the bowling world. I mean, that's his passion. He loves helping loves kids, bowling leagues, and he works every day of the week, and he doesn't get any days off. But that real estate business funded that and allowed him to be able to get there and do that and own a house and pay off his debt. So he could do that. So anyway, that's my tip on that, is treat you like anybody that would be working for you, and whatever split you think they would ever be on, that's what you should be living off of, and see if you can make a living off of it. Because if it's not working, either you've got your expenses out of control, you're not bringing enough income, or your business isn't going to be able to survive for you just to make up a new number and give them a little bit more money. So I know I could not, absolutely not, run a business on probably less. Really, the team needs to keep 60% of all commissions and give each team member 40% to live off of if you're following the model, because that's just the profit. That means the team isn't making any money, because you should have 60% expenses, 40% profit. So when we do a 50-50 split, you're already giving away 10% of the money you need to stay in business. So that by leveraging yourself through a team member that's on a 50-50 split, they have to bring in twice as much money as you would have ever brought in on your own, or else this is a losing proposition for everyone. Because if the business is losing money, then the agent's going to have to quit eventually, or the business is going to go out of business. So that's the concept I want you to take away from that conversation. So you got several income from your real estate business: listing income, sales income, referral income, leasing income. And if you do leases at all, that is an opportunity for you though. The cost of sale is your commission paid to the office, your royalty fees, your commission splits that you might be on with anyone else. Like anytime you pay a 25% referral fee to an agent, or if you're paying, I mean, I am on some of those realtor.com lead platforms, but I'm paying a referral fee. I'm not paying up front for the leads. So if they get me a lead that I never would have got, I mean, I'm going to pay a realtor, any real estate agent that calls me with a lead 25%, I can pay them a referral fee as well. So you got referral fees going out and coming in. So in your book, it breaks down, like you have to figure at the very beginning from day one until you've paid in your company dollar, which by the way, company dollar, I think yours, does anybody know what your company dollar is off the top of your head? It might be different. Actually, it's probably different from office to office, but it's in the, is it around the $25,000 to $28,000 range, something like that? Does anybody know what your office split is, the 30% that you pay? Okay, if you don't know, you need to find that out, right? Because what's happening is you're on a 70-30 split until you pay an X amount of dollars to your office. But that would, knowing what that number is, see, knowing what that, it's different from office to office, because they have to look at your market and what things cost and how much is rent for where your office is and the conference rooms. What you're doing with that money, even if you don't go into the office every day and you're not selling a house every month, you can't go open up a brick and mortar building for probably what your company dollar is. You can't have a receptionist with the phone system and the copy machine, a place for your mail to go that's a business address, not your home address, and a conference room if you needed it at any time, and training room if you want to do a first-time home buyer seminar, whatever that might be, or attend training. All that stuff's included in that company dollar. The cool thing about our model is you're paying it as you go, but you still get 100% of benefit of looking like you've been in business for 1,000,000 years. I mean, I know one of the offices is right by the water. You got a view of nice water and all that other stuff. So that is, you can't go do that on your own. So that's what you pay at Keller Williams, and you pay as you go. So you can build your business and learn from other people and do all that. The other part of it is the royalty that goes back to Keller Williams, and that's $3,000 across the board. That $3,000 gets split into $1,500 to the region and $1,500 to international. So think about that business model. I mean, really, your region is this group of people. Keller Williams International is this big. What Keller Williams does with $1,500 times 180,000 agents, if everybody capped out, was what we call it. Once everybody's paid in their $3,000, that's a lot of money to run the company with. That's what they run the company with. The region runs regional events with the 1,500 that they're keeping, and it's a smaller group of people, so it doesn't always generate, I mean, it's a business, so there's still a low profit margin on some of those, depending on who's capping out and who's not capping out, because you're still providing training and everything for everyone in the company. Let's see where we are on time. Oh yeah, we're probably okay. And once you pay your company dollar in, then all you got left is that it's the 6% that comes off until you pay in $3,000. Once you've capped out, if you guys, I mean, you need to know these numbers. You need to have that office number and the $3,000 sitting on a sheet. And every time you pay in some of that, just minus it off until you know when you're at zero, and then you know you're capped.
Brad,
Yes.
I put in the chat, I put what I'm aware of for our most recent, which is 30%
Great.
with a market center cap of 37K, 70% minus a 6% franchise royalty fee. But I think they just lowered the cap to like 34 maybe. I don't know if anybody else knows.
And your ALC would have decided on that because the ALC helps control all your profit, because the office gives back half their profit every single month back to the agents. Everything's tracked through somebody other than just the owner of the company. So that's awesome if they dropped it. And that might just be dropping cost of what it costs to be in business, or you guys have been super profitable. Either way, that's a gift. Think about this, just to have a receptionist with the phone number, even if you have calls coming to your cell phone, you have an office number that gets directed where people ask for you. So that person alone, you can't even hire a receptionist to sit at the front desk for $34,000 a year in your market, right? So there's just a tip of the iceberg. And the fact that it goes away as you pay in, and it's a pure 100%, other than just your monthly tech fee and some of the other things, like usually 70, 80, $100, something like that. There's not a lot that you have to invest up front. You're paying it as you go and get more successful. And the offices benefit by us capping, right? Now, once you start capping, honestly, you're not even as much of an expense to the office anymore, because I have my own copy machine right here behind me. I have my own phone system. All my calls run straight to me, yet I still have that brick and mortar building there. I don't even use the front desk, but randomly a referral could come in there, whatever it is. So, I mean, the value is still there even for me when I'm completely separate from that. I still have the conference room I can go meet people at, still have the training rooms, all that other stuff. So anyway, that's a way to track that, is just know your company dollar and know that franchise fee and watch it, so you know how close you are to getting 100% of your commissions. So planning for the future, make sure. Oh, one other thing I was going to tell you to do, if you are paying for a lot of stuff and you want to start tracking your ROI, if you've paid for any kind of services, leads, any of that stuff, write down just on a sheet what you're paying for, how much it costs you every month, or if you paid a chunk for a program like a for sale by owner program and it was $2,000, any of that stuff. And then the next column is how much money have you made because of that program. And if it's something you're paying monthly and you've made no money from it, and you now to this point you paid in this total amount, cancel it. Either cancel it or sit down and go, what is my 7-step plan to make my money back on this before, because I really don't want to cancel it. Fine, but if it's not making you an ROI of 5 or 10 times, how can you make it an ROI? You can always re-sign back up for something if you're not using it now. There's a lot of people that buy the for sale by owner list and the expireds list. If I'm coaching anyone, they want to get a for sale by owner. Well, this has all the phone numbers. It's been scrubbed. It's got the for sale by owners and expireds. I usually say, how many for sale by owners and expireds have you listed in the last 6 months? None. Okay, so go find those numbers on your own, list a for sale by owner, list an expired, take the commission, put half of it away, and then when you get enough to pay for that list, now buy the list. Because then what I would have done is I would have created a system for getting FSBOs and expireds to list with me first, because just having the list isn't going to make them list with you. And you're wasting money and you're not getting any, and it's dumb. So, well, I'm not going to say it's dumb. I'm not going to say you're dumb. It is a waste of money, which is dumb, right? So you might hope it's going to pay off. The sales guy told you it was going to pay off. And I tell them right up front, it's like, hey, $34 a month sounds cheap. Can you guarantee me a 10 times return, which means I need $3,400 from your program in the next couple of months? And they're like, well, we can't really guarantee that. Okay, I just pass on it. I don't even think about it anymore, because all you have to do is go back to your master list, call 5 people, write them 5 notes, put them on a smart plan, enjoy the ride, build that pipeline. So anyway, planning for your future, that now you can start figuring this stuff out, what your cap dollars are for your office and everything, and start figuring out how many houses you have to sell every month to make what you want to make. Because you're only, I mean, right off the bat, you're getting, what is that? 54% of your commission check is the 9,000 that we were talking about.
Shut up, Charlie.
What's that? Oh, might have been background noise. 54%, because, well, actually we're at 30% split and then 6%, 36. So somebody help me with the math. Is that 54 or is that 64? I guess it's 64, isn't it? I don't know. My math is off. I think it's around 60%, 40% cost or whatever, total 36% cost minus 100%. That's what it is. 63%. 64% is what it is. And then you got to take your other 40% off the 64%. So plan ahead, and that money disappears quickly. And when you're trying to get out of the hole, that causes people to think, well, I'll go to a company that has 100%, or I'll go to a company that has a different split. There's no better splits than a cap that you get 100% after that. It is the best split structure. It's better than a Remax 95-5 split, because the 5% going to the company goes forever. It never stops. So if you plan on being successful, you're going to pay 4 times more and at that 5% than if you were on a 70-30 split. Anyway, this isn't, I don't have to convince you to stay at Keller Williams. I'm just helping you understand those split structures and how really awesome this whole model is. But there you go. If you had $100,000 is what you want to make selling real estate, you got to get 166 total profit goal in, which means you have to collect $400,000 in commissions, right? And then that's going to be 56 sales on an average commission of 7,500. So if you're at 15,000 is your average commission, and you want to make a, well, if your average commission is 15,000, you probably need $200,000. Your 200,000 is equivalent to my little 100 here in the Midwest. But anyway, that breaks it all down. So if it was 200, you probably need 320, 340, 30,000, which means you have to bring in $800,000 in gross commissions to sell 56 properties and so on. So anyway, if you work it all backwards through that worksheet, you can really easily figure out. What I'm going to tell you though is you're not going to like the number that you see because you're struggling to get out of the hole and you're fighting to get the next listing to get out of the hole. Man, you need to know that number, because if it comes up if most of you, it would probably come up 2 or 3 sales a month. That's not that hard to do. That is 2 listing appointments a week will absolutely guarantee you 3 sales a month. If you're going on 6 listing appointments a month, but if that month slips by and you struggle to find 1 or 2 listing appointments, you're not going to make $100,000. You might as well know that in the first month, not 6 months from now or 3 years from now when you can't figure out how to make it work. There isn't a figure out how to make it work. Figure your numbers out on the front end and just make those numbers happen, and it will work. In fact, you'll always do better than what your estimate numbers say because you're driving that. So get clarity on your big picture, what you want to do, set your personal budgets, set up your business entity. And that could be as simply as just setting up those additional bank accounts for capital and expenses. Download the MREA chart of accounts. That's all on that Keller Inc. Website. You could download some tax accounting software or just hire a CPA and have them keep track of it. And I know that's the most painful one, is writing that check to the CPA. It's like I was socking away money when I didn't have my CPA, but I also knew I wasn't putting all my taxes away. As soon as I put her in, she's got me straightened out. But it's like now all of a sudden it's like, wow, my money, like I'm not making as much money anymore. Now I'm only 3 months ahead instead of getting to 6 months ahead. Well, that's because you got to pay taxes. Everybody has to pay taxes. Everybody has to pay an accountant to track all that stuff. So, and I told her, take that stuff out of my account. I don't want to see it. I've set it somewhere, send it to them early, whatever. Set your dates, calculate your tax payments, and prepare for your future stuff. So anyway, that's your habits. We'll go with, man, I hope you guys tell me, this is a full class and it's money and it's numbers. Did I do a good job of kind of helping you understand something that you might not have thought of or understood clearly? Did I kind of get you to a new level of financial, fiscal responsibility and thinking like a business person, I hope? So yeah, click on that link there for the Survey Monkey, open it up in another tab, just right click and say open in a new tab. And if you think to go through and fill that out, I love to hear what you guys think. Any questions about anything?
No, thank you. It's been
You
great.
betcha. Glad you guys were here. This was probably one of the most important classes, I think, of everything we taught, even though all those sellers and buyer classes are what make this more important. So, all right, guys, be sure you call me if you have any questions or anything at all. I want some more clarity on anything.
Okay.
All right.